You reset it?
Yeah.
Okay. With respect to the surroundings, Mr. Aljazairi had absolutely no familiarity with the areas, while the surroundings may be considered neutral at the hospital and in an ambulance. So what this is saying is, while the hospital setting might be a neutral area, Investigator Mason transformed this neutral area to something different, to a police environment, when he refused to allow Mr. Aljazairi's family in the room with him during questioning at the hospital. And no friends or family were allowed in the ambulance or back in the room at the hospital. Further, during the custodial interrogation, Investigator Mason was present in full uniform, wearing a badge and a gun, and with respect to the degree of physical restraint, Mr. Aljazairi had no ability to leave the interrogation in either situation, as he was essentially trapped on an ambulance, and no ability to leave the interrogation in either situation, as he was essentially trapped on an ambulance and or hospital bed, lying down without the ability to move or leave. Okay, in total, the custodial interrogation was conducted in a very aggressive manner, with Investigator Mason making demands of Mr. Aljazairi with respect to a drugs and a search warrant, and appearing to take joy in tricking Mr. Aljazairi to refuse a consensual blood draw request when Mason already possessed a warrant to draw the blood. What does that tell you? Imagine this. Mustafa wakes up from the coma, and you have Officer Mason sitting there in his face with a warrant sitting in his pocket, already signed. And he wants to make Mustafa feel like you have the option to refuse a blood draw. They're tricking him. They're using coercive maneuvers, coercive tactics to make him feel like you can say no to the blood draw. And then if he says no, they're going to say, oh, look, he said no. Well, we have the warrant. We don't need your response anyways. So why would you play with somebody that had just woke up from a coma? Why would you do that to somebody that just lost his family in a car accident? Why? How is that okay for an officer to be tricking somebody that had just woke up from a coma, just involved in a major, major tragic car accident? And you have an officer like this one tricking Mr. Aljazairi into thinking he had an option
Putting words in his mouth
with respect to drugs and a search warrant, which he appeared to already have in his pocket. Finally, there's no question that Mason was investigating Mr. Aljazairi with respect to his culpability. And as he questioned Mr. Aljazairi in the ambulance about drugs, he had already obtained a search warrant for Mr. Aljazairi's blood at the hospital. And he peppered Mr. Aljazairi's questions about what happened before the accident and during the accident, while in full uniform, and asked Mr. Aljazairi for a sample of his blood in the hospital. For a sample of his blood in the hospital. The interrogation occurred when Investigator Mason questioned Mr. Aljazairi inside of the ambulance and at the hospital, and because Mr. Aljazairi was not read his Miranda warnings, these are violations. I mean, you're going to interrogate somebody that just woke up without reading them their rights, without letting his family come back into the room. And then what? They're going to say, look, this is what he said. The man that just woke up from a coma, look what he said. Look at how he answered. He refused a blood draw. I mean, we don't know if Mustafa refused or not. But we know that the officer wanted to make Mustafa feel like he can refuse a blood draw. Only to come out and say, gotcha. I already have it. I already have a warrant. I don't need your consent. I just wanted you to think you had rights.
And what were the results?
And of course, the results are in the hospital discharge papers.
No alcohol.
No alcohol, no drugs. No alcohol, no drugs. Okay? That's the results of the blood work. But think about it. Wow. For the officer to already have a search warrant for his blood that quick and questioning him about drugs, why? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Mason? Why would you ever do that? Now, I wanted to talk about Robert Drum. Battery to run low.
Yeah.
Because the lights are on. Not the excuse to the annoying beeping.
Hello. What's 636.
I wanted to talk about
636. Yeah, 636. الحادثة صارت 636.
wow, 636.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking for.
Subhanallah. Let's mention Peter Militis on Mustafa's birthday.
Okay.
He resigned. Mustafa's birthday was yesterday.
Okay.
Militis.
You know, I wanted to mention something. We have an active federal against the jail because Mustafa, while in jail, was subjected to sexual assault by officers. He was subjected to a beating where they almost attempted to take his life. They attempted to take Mustafa's life in that beating. They deprived him until this day, from May 24th, 2023 until today, October 2nd, 2024, Mustafa has not had proper medical care for that beating. And since they have beat him up on 3 other occasions where they would enter his cell and assault him. On April 5th, when they entered his cell and they destroyed his religious material, on April 17th and April 19th. And there's an active federal lawsuit against the jail. Meanwhile, you see all these people behind me on that poster. You see this poster? This is Muhammad Ikram. Muhammad Ikram was held at the jail for 4 years. 4 years as a pretrial detainee, and then they murdered him. They took his life. They took his life and they claimed this was an overdose. That's what they tell the mom. That's what they tell his mother. But look at his face. Look at his face. They claim that's an overdose. Clearly, there's signs of a beating. Okay? I mean, the latest one is Juan Campos. Juan Campos, on March 29th, 2024, was held at Prince William County Jail, and he lost his life Again, from a beating. A beating that took place by the police and was finished off by the jail. This is what they do to people. If you're held at this jail, you will be subjected to torture, where they beat you up. First, they put you in handcuffs. And then the officers beat you. And then they strip you naked. And they sexually assault you. And then you're deprived medical. They throw you in a cell, naked. They shut off the water. You're not given food. You're not given medical treatment.
And they bring the health.
And then after about 7 days, 7 days of no water, no food, I mean barely food just to keep you alive maybe. Half the time they don't give the food. Okay? No clothing where you're freezing at night. You're subjected to extreme cold.
Yeah.
Okay? And then 7 days later, when there's dirt all over the cell because you don't have water, how can you clean yourself? Okay? This happened to multiple inmates where they bring in a mental health evaluator after 7 days or after a few days when the person is really going to go crazy. Okay? Mental health comes in, they look at the cell, they look at the inmate, and they put down in their report, inmate plays with feces. Feces all over the place. Inmate is incoherent. You can't understand what they're saying. Okay? And that's what they write. They write you off to the judge. They take that report, give it to the commonwealth attorney, and the commonwealth attorney says, "Oh, we have a mental case here. Inmate playing with feces? Wow, they're incompetent. These people are incompetent. Send them to the psych ward." Okay? Now they don't put in their notes, they don't put that this person was subjected to a beating. They don't put that the inmate was forced to drink out of a toilet. They don't put that the water was shut off for days. Okay? I mean, what do you think happens when you put a human in a box with no running water? And when I say no running water, I mean no running water. You can't even flush the toilet. Okay? How were you supposed to be sanitary? How do you wash your hands? How do you clean up yourself? You don't have any toilet paper and no water. Okay? And then they send in a mental health evaluator that just looks at the scene. And by the way, these mental health people, they know what's going on. It's not like they just come in and say, "Oh my God, look at this person. Let me just take notes." No, they know what they're doing. This is a strategic torture tactic used by the commonwealth attorney, by the jail. Okay? These people work together to ensure that Amy Ashworth will get a plea deal out of that inmate. They subject you to torture, to these horrendous conditions, so that you have two options. When the prosecutor offers you a deal, you're going to say, "Get me the hell out of here." Okay? Anybody being subjected to this torture, by the way, not a grievance will help you, not a public lawyer will help you, not a court-appointed lawyer, not another officer. You can complain all you want. Who's going to listen to you? Who's going to listen to your complaints when these conditions are ordered by the Commonwealth herself? Okay? The Commonwealth attorney herself is overseeing the conditions of confinement. That's a direct conflict of interest. This is a conflict. Okay? You have a prosecutor who's prosecuting these people. At the same time, she sits on a jail board to overlook their conditions of confinement. You think when an inmate complains that I just got beat up, sexually assaulted, and they're shutting off the water on me, depriving me in a cell, and I'm possibly going to die, you think the Commonwealth attorney is going to get out of her chair and say, "Why are you doing that to this poor person?" Of course not. Because the harsher the punishment inside jail, the more likely this person will take her plea deal. Do people understand that? You can't have a prosecutor sit on the jail boards to take complaints from inmates. Because every complaint that comes in, she'll just throw it away. She'll just look the other way. Just like what happened to us. In November, we came in November. My whole family went to this jail board. Okay? And we said Mustafa was sexually assaulted, beaten by officers. He was unconscious at some point. He blacked out. And when he woke up, he was stripped naked. And officers did something to him while he was unconscious. And when he woke up, they were laughing about his private parts. They were making jokes about his private parts while he's lying on the ground in a puddle of his own blood. You have an officer recording and 4 or 5 other officers laughing at his private parts. And then the sergeant comes up to him and tells him, if you say one word, we're going to take your life. We told this information to the jail board, which includes Amy Ashworth, who's prosecuting Mustafa. Okay? Who's bringing these lies, who we now know was concealing Mustafa's evidence. She was withholding evidence. We told this to the chief of police who was sitting in that same board meeting. The same chief of police who's protecting Robert Drum, who lied under oath. Do we really think these people are going to have Mustafa's interest at hand? Do we really think that these people who are prosecuting Mustafa, who have every vested interest to see Mustafa get tortured, so that 1, he could take a plea deal, or 2, they might just take his life? And guess what happened when we complained? Guess what happened when we complained? They shut down any future board meetings. No longer are we allowed to go in and have a conversation with this jail board. No longer is any member of the public is no longer allowed to go into these board meetings and voice their concerns. Why is that so? How come? How come Amy Ashworth would do that? And the answer is, there's a conflict of interest just by her sitting on that jail board. That's a direct conflict of interest. You can't protect someone you're prosecuting. You just can't do it. It goes against every rule. It's a conflict of interest. It's a direct conflict. You can't protect the person you're prosecuting, because the more torture they go through, the more likely they'll take your plea deal. And that's what happens in this county. That's what happens in Manassas, Virginia. And it's happening right in front of us. It's happening right in front of the community. And she's collecting money as a commonwealth attorney, and she's collecting money as a jail board member. I mean, you don't find it odd that everywhere you complain, everywhere I've complained, they've always told us, not my jurisdiction. Every single time. Every single place that I complain to, including areas in Prince William County, they tell me, not my jurisdiction. I mean, imagine you have the director of the Office of Human Rights. I mean, it's in the name. Human rights. Human rights. The director will stand there, who, by the way, sits on the jail board. He has a spot on the jail board. And he tells us, not my jurisdiction. When we complain about abuse and beatings inside the jail, he says, that's Raul Torres. His name is Raul Torres. Now, for anyone questioning this information, you can call the Commission of Human Rights of Prince William County, and you can tell them, I have an inmate that I'd like to file a complaint. He's getting beat up by officers. He's being sexually assaulted, and I'm going to file a complaint. Guess what they'll tell you? not my jurisdiction. Go back to the jail board. Go complain to the jail board that they've just shut down permanently and you're no longer allowed to go to any meetings. You're going to go to the police, Prince William County Police. Guess what they'll tell you? Even the police will tell you it's not our jurisdiction. You go to the sheriff will tell you, not my jurisdiction. You go to the Commonwealth attorney, she'll tell you, not my jurisdiction. You go to the governor's office. Now the governor's office will take your complaint. By the way, online. You submit a complaint online. And when you call in, they tell you, we forwarded your complaint to the appropriate department. Guess where they forwarded your complaint to? They forwarded your complaint to Department of Corrections. Virginia Department of Corrections. Who will call you and tell you, not my jurisdiction. They'll tell you this is a private jail. It does not fall under the state. It does not fall under federal. This jail governs itself. Pretty much, the jail governs itself. There's no oversight. Absolutely no oversight. And the fact that there's no oversight, you can have this many murders happen from inside the jail and not a single agency will step in. Nobody will go in and investigate these murders. Nobody. I mean, look at that. 7 people. 7 people in the last 4 years have been carried out in a body bag. And by the way, not people that were convicted, by the way. No. People that were awaiting trial. Dead. 7 of them. In the last 4 years. 7. 7 people dead. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? 7? I can understand, like, maybe 1 was an accident. 2, maybe an accident. But 7? Wow. And they all have the same story. All of them have, all young people, all young men. All of them young men. One they claims an overdose. The other one they claimed an overdose. The third one claimed he did not want medical, so he just lost his life. Another one, they claimed an overdose. Another one, they claim an overdose. I mean, how many overdoses are you having at this jail? If I can't even bring my documents, if I can't bring a piece of paper to a digital visit, okay, to an online visit, I can't bring papers in, how are you getting these drugs inside the jail?
Officer Dick got fired.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
The overdose death.
One of the officers.
You know, and by the way, when you hear overdose, don't believe it. Don't believe an overdose. Don't you believe for a second that somebody who is gonna be coming home after their trial will overdose. Don't believe it for a second. Nobody who is coming home from a case where they have evidence they did not commit the crime is going to overdose. Now, this is a picture. Let me see where the picture is.
pictures.
Let me see one. Yeah, no, I had a better picture because that one has tape on it. It's going to be like reflective. I have a picture right here. Yeah, here we go. Okay. You know, this is really sad. But they claim that this man overdosed. Here. They claim that this man overdosed. This young man, Muhammad Ikram. They claim he overdosed. This is what he looked like. That's what he looked like. And they claim he overdosed. And, you know, by the way, I'll let you in on a little secret with this man. Muhammad Ikram had evidence. He had evidence that was going to bring him home. He had evidence that was going to bring him home. And somehow, miraculously, they say they found him unresponsive And right away, immediately, the jail puts out in the news that there's no foul play. Right away. The first thing they say, found unresponsive, in the same line, no foul play. Inmate found dead at Prince William Manassas Jail. No foul play suspected. Right away, they jump to it. Just like Juan Campos. Now, here's the thing. Juan Campos was only there for 7 days. What are you doing?
Trying to find Kenneth Wagner.
Here, just go through it. Look, Juan Campos, they claim overdose. That's what they said.
Show the picture again, English.
That's what they said.
Show the picture again. They say.
For which one?
The
For Muhammad Ikram?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have it. Oh, actually, maybe I have
Show
it
the
here.
picture.
This is it.
Oh, no, yours?
هي علامات
Yeah.
علامات يا حسن.
They claim he overdosed. Okay. By the way, Muhammad Ikram was held in jail as a pre-trial detainee for 4 years. 4 years. Wow, imagine being accused of a crime and having to sit for 4 years. Having to sit in jail waiting for a trial for 4 years? What the hell is going on? I mean, this clearly demonstrates that the Commonwealth attorney, either you take her plea deal or you come out like this. You come out like this.
Or that.
Okay? You take her plea deal or you come out like this in a body bag.
Oh, it is.
Okay? And this is not fair. This is not fair. This is coercion. You can't coerce people to take your plea deals. This is not fair. This is not fair. This is coercion. You can't coerce people to take your plea deals. You can't do that. It's against the law. It's against the law. It's against the law. And by the way, you know, anybody can Google. This information is all on Google. You could just Google death at Prince William County. You know, this man, Kenneth Wagner. Kenneth Wagner. You see that? What does that say? Severe brain injury. Severe brain injury. Kenneth Wagner. He actually sued the jail for $26 million back in 2006 or 8, somewhere in the mid-2000s. He sued the jail because they gave him severe brain injury. He was lucky. He was lucky to get help. Muhammad Ikram, he wasn't so lucky. You know, Juan Campos, 18 years old, 18 years old, held at the jail for 7 days. Police claim that they found a small, tiny little blue pill in the back seat or in the back floorboard of his stepdad's car. When he was going to the convenience store, they pulled him over. Now here's the thing. Prince William County is accused of beating this man, this 18-year-old. They're accused of beating this man, I mean, to the point of unrecognition. Okay? They beat him beyond recognition. Juan Campos. And that's why the jail has no mugshot of Juan Campos when he entered the jail. Why is there no mugshot? Why is there no mugshot for Juan Campos? And that's because police beat him up so bad they disfigured his face. Okay? And rather than take him to a hospital, they took him to jail. Where where the jail will cover up for the police. They'll continue off where the police left off. They'll pick up where the police left off. Now, we've tried to get body cams for this deceased young man, and the police department refused. Again, back to our thing. Why would somebody refuse to release cameras? Why would they refuse to release footage that's in the best interest of the community? You're being accused, police officers are being accused of beating this man to where he's unrecognizable. And we're asking for his body cams. They refuse to release it. Now, we asked the jail because we know this jail they don't wear body cams inside the pods. But they do have body cams in intake. They have cameras and they wear body cams in intake. Where is his body cams when he was being processed? Why does he have no mugshot? Why? Why did they cams when he was being processed? Why does he have no mugshot? Why? Why did they place him in protective custody and solitary confinement?
Cover his face.
He was just arrested for a blue pill. Why would you put him in solitary confinement? Why would you put him on protective custody? Why are multiple inmates saying that this man was screaming for help for 7 days before he died? Why?
Why is his window covered?
Why is that so? Why are the police not releasing his footage?
They're covering his face.
Why is the jail not releasing his footage? Brenda, thank you. If they didn't give you the audio from the dash cam and the discovery, that's illegal. Of course it's illegal. That's a Brady violation. To withhold evidence, withhold exonerating evidence because it goes against the commonwealth, it goes against their theory, it dismantles the entire case if they release this dash cam. Of course they're going to withhold it. I mean, they've claimed to the courts that there was no audio at all, that the dash cam never captured audio, and we know now that's a lie. It's in the officer's memo and his own wording, in his own report. He admits that he heard this audio of the dash cam.
Also admits.
Casey Stevens tells us, I have an audio right here somewhere on my phone. I have an audio. Casey Stevens says Robert Drum has the audio. He figured out the audio. So where is this audio? Amy Ashworth says there is no audio. We have to get a lip reader. Screw your lip reader. You have the audio itself. Play the audio. Show us what really was happening in that car. But imagine, they won't even release the actual dash cam. They won't even release the video. Are they really going to release the audio? Of course not. And number two, why would you crush his car? Why would you crush his car? Why would you chop his car in half? Why? Why would you remove the roof off of his car? And I'll tell you, this Commonwealth attorney, she was not thinking that we were going to get this photo. You see this bottom photo? Not in a million years did she ever think that we were going to get a photo of Mustafa's car inside of the impound. Inside of the impound. Why would you cut up his car? Why? I mean, you're accusing the man of murder first degree. Why not preserve the evidence? Why not preserve it? Because they want to muddy up the waters. They want to muddy up the waters. Oh, we had to extract the ACM, which is the car's computer. And by the way, we all know, or if you do a basic Google search, you'll find out that the ACM is actually located under the hood. And the car was hit from the rear side of the car, the rear passenger side. So why would you have to cut up the roof? I mean, think about it. Anybody that's ever been in a small car accident, if someone hits you from the rear, That's not going to affect your hood opening. How many times have someone got rear-ended and they go to the body shop and say, oh, I need a new front bumper. Or I need a new driver fender because someone rear-ended me. Doesn't work like that. A car is made out of steel. Okay, it's not made out of cardboard. The car was hit from the rear side. Why would that have any effect on the hood opening? And why would you have to chop up the roof? Why would you chop up the roof? And the fact that they had to go back and issue a second separate... Why would you chop up the roof? And the fact that they had to go back and issue a second separate search warrant for the dash cam shows you. It shows a second separate search warrant for the dash cam shows you. It shows you that the dash cam was still in the car on the windshield. When did they cut up the vehicle like that? Where was the dash cam when they did that? And these are all questions that, you know, we're going to get the answers. Whether they try to conceal the discovery, whether they try to put a protective order, they put a seal on it, whatever the case may be, you know, the truth will come out one way or another. In a statement like this, or that, or the other, the truth is going to come out. I mean, now this is major news that the officer himself has the audio to the dash cam. Come out. I mean, now this is major news that the officer himself has the audio to the dash cam, which they've been telling us does not exist. They've been telling us. Mustafa's been in solitary confinement for 17 months. Imagine, 17 months of solitary confinement. Anybody that goes in solitary confinement, they're going to go mental. They're going to go crazy. Okay, it's against the law. It's against the law to be put in solitary confinement. International law says 2 weeks of solitary confinement, anything past that is torture. That's international law. Okay? Where you have like third world countries and they're going by two weeks of solitary confinement is torture. In America, in Prince William County, Virginia, you have inmates sitting in solitary confinement for over a year as pretrial detainees. Come on now, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, another inmate, Dale Wayne Fox Jr. You see that? Dale Wayne Fox Jr. Same story. Found unresponsive, no foul play. Found unresponsive, no foul play. Another one. Virginia man's death in police custody under investigation. We know they're not investigating anything. We know they're not investigating anything. Nobody was ever held accountable. The jail board members are all the same members that are hiding and covering things up for the jail. You know, I mean, let's think about it like this. My brother was beat up and sexually assaulted inside of the jail on May 24th, 2023. My brother tells me that every day I lose blood. Every day I'm bleeding. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what's going on with me. I want to go to a hospital. I want to be seen by a doctor. The nurses here laugh at me.
He's in pain now.
When I tell them where I'm bleeding from, they try to humiliate me. Officers laugh about it. They're the ones that sexually assaulted him, and they're laughing at it. The same officers that sexually assaulted him are today serving his lunch. And when he wants to file a complaint of sexual assault, they send him the same sergeant that threatened his life. I mean, where in the world is that okay? In what part of the world is that acceptable? Let alone in America. In what part of the world is it okay to send your abuser to take your report? What part of the world is okay with that? You know, I read some Department of Corrections rules. I've read the jail's handbook. And they have something called a keep separate. They have something called a keep separate. Keep separate is when someone makes an allegation of sexual assault or assault in general, but mainly sexual assault, they will take the officer that's being accused and they'll keep separate. They'll move that officer to a different unit. But not in this case. You got the same officers that stripped Mustafa naked, serving his lunch, laughing at him. When he says, I need medical, they laugh at him. They yell it out in the pods. Where are you bleeding from? What's this blood? Who sexually assaulted? I mean, come on now. We see what's going on here. We see what's going on. But justice is coming. I promise you that. For anybody that is listening, anybody that's following this case, I can promise you, justice is coming. Justice will be served. You know, we've been screaming for the past couple of months. We've been yelling at the top of our lungs that Mustafa's dashcam has audio. And now today, it's been proven. It's been proven in the officer's own words that he watched the dashcam with audio. It's his own words. Indisputable. Now, what does the Commonwealth attorney have to say about it? Do we really think Julie Carey is going to cover this? I doubt it, because Julie Carey sits on Amy Ashworth's payroll. The media is fake news. We are the media. Really, it's come down to this. The media is fake. They'll feed you whatever they want to feed you. Okay? And if it puts them in a negative light, they won't cover it. Because I'll tell you, Julie Carey, everything you see here today, everything, Julie Carey had knowledge of it from last year. And I have it on text. Amar and I texted Julie Carey all this information way back when my brother was arrested. The dash cam, the fact that it had audio, our conversation with Rexing, and them telling us that they can retrieve audio from any camera that belongs to them. I mean, they tell us this is a very sophisticated device that regardless, they can always retrieve the audio. But we need the original file. And who has the original file? Amy Ashworth. You think she's going to send it to Rexing so they can recover the audio? She doesn't have to. Because Robert Drum admitted himself that he listened to the audio. So we don't need Rexing anymore. We just need Robert Drum to tell us, buddy, what did you do with that audio? You know, the guy you falsified the warrant on? The one that the police department investigated you and found you have violated department policy? Yeah, that case. Where's the audio to that case? This is a really sad situation, but at the end of the day, the truth is coming out and justice will be served. Mustafa has an active federal lawsuit in federal court, and I can promise you, I can promise everyone listening that justice will be served, not just to Mustafa, but to Dorothy, Empress, to these people behind me that lost their lives and their story was just swept under the rug. Justice will be served to these people. Because I'll bet you that if an officer is willing to beat this man, he's willing to do it again and again and again and again. Okay? And it's the same officers' names that keep coming up. We found out recently that there's another federal lawsuit for a young man by the last name Benitez Sosa. This is a wrongful death out from the same jail. Okay? And he will get justice. Okay? But these people are not forgotten. These people will not be forgotten. The jail thinks that, they murdered somebody, they swept it under the rug, and that's it. That's the end of it. Okay, Daniels, continue doing what you're doing. Eric Lindsay, keep doing what you're doing. Lieutenant Suda, Officer Tipton, keep doing what you're doing. The death that happened under your watch is swept under the rug. Amy Ashworth will protect you. She won't talk about it. Matter of fact, she'll cancel every board meeting going forward to protect these criminals that are murdering pretrial detainees. But I'll tell you, Mustafa's case will open the door to all these victims into coming forward. Mustafa's federal case will open the door for justice to be served. So we ask that you guys keep us in your prayers. We ask that you share this story. Tell your communities what's going on in Manassas. Because the only way Amy Ashworth and these officers that are hurting people, the only way they're going to be accountable is when the public holds them accountable. Okay? When there's a federal case, and then we know that from civil cases, the government will step in. When the government sees a federal civil case that's already laid out the groundwork for an indictment, we know the government will have to act then. Because, the FBI, the DOJ, they want people to entrust them. They want people to report crimes to them. And when they see a case like Mustafa's in a federal court, they're expecting indictments. And, a sign that the federal government is coming for these people is the fact that the superintendent resigned his post on Mustafa's birthday, October 1st. Imagine that. It was Mustafa's birthday yesterday. And Superintendent Peter Miletus resigned as of yesterday. I mean, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Imagine, Peter Miletus, who gets over $230,000 to sit his ass in an office, left that post. And it's a sign of what's coming. Okay, I was laughing with Mustafa about this. They call him the colonel. He's the superintendent. I'm telling Mustafa, imagine this is like a war. And the colonel holds up his sword and says, "Charge!" He yells, "Charge!" Everybody charges forward, and the colonel is running home the opposite way on his horse. And this is what's happening here. The colonel has left his post. He ran home. He left. And I think that's the biggest sign that justice is coming. Other than the fact that today we have confirmation that Robert Drum has the audio and Commonwealth Amy Ashworth is withholding the audio to Mustafa's dashcam. So I'll tell you, the best is yet to come. There's an active federal lawsuit, a civil case. And we're going to continue the fight. We're going to continue the fight. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for us making a big deal out of all this shenanigans, none of it would have came out. These people are forced. They are forced to do the right thing. When we record the police, when we file complaints with the police department, when we show photos of Mustafa's car, from this to that, when we go out and buy Mustafa's dash camera and we show that this camera does record audio, I mean, all of this You know, they thought they were gonna take Mustafa. They were gonna take him, do this to him possibly. He's maybe gonna take a plea deal. They're gonna put him away forever, and they're just gonna sweep it under the rug and continue doing this until the next generation comes. And they keep continuing this process. Well, we're here to tell you we're gonna interrupt your corruption. We're here to expose you. Okay, you're taking our tax dollars and you're doing this to our community? Hell no. We won't stand for it. We're going to keep fighting. So, thank you everyone for listening. And
We'll continue tomorrow from the courthouse.
God bless everyone. God bless America. And justice will be served. Justice will be served. One way or another, justice will be served. God bless you all. Thank you. I'll turn this off.